Today's topic is Feeding Our Children, Lessons Across Africa and Asia for Improving School Food Procurement and Food Sourcing. Before we get into it, let's start with a welcome address from the president of Mahidol University. Mahidol University, as you know, is organizing this webinar series. We'll hear a welcome address from Professor Pyamitra Sritara.
Good afternoon, distinguished guests, colleagues, and friends. It is a pleasure to join you today at this important event. I want to thank Institute for Population and Social Research and International Development Research Center for organizing this collaborative webinar series, highlighting the need for effective food policy and governance. This initiative underscores the potential of our food systems to achieve the Sustainable Development Goals. Food is a basic human need. Sustainable food systems not only end hunger and improve food security, but also drive progress on all 17 SDGs. The COVID-19 pandemic has reshaped our future, bringing numerous challenges and impacting major megatrends like geopolitics, population, technology, climate change, and environmental factors. We need systemic changes in our food systems, policy, and governance. Research plays a vital role in diagnosing issues, developing scalable solutions, and charting a sustainable path for better food policy and governance. We must conduct inclusive, responsive, and adaptive research, translating knowledge into action and impactful outcomes. Africa and Asia share similar challenges, but we need not face them alone. This webinar provides a platform for mutual learning from research and advocacy experiences. We will discuss practical insights, starting with school food procurement and food sourcing. In conclusion, I express my deepest appreciation to IPSR Director and Ms. Madiha Hamed from IiDRC for their dedication in making this webinar a reality. I also thank our speakers, discussants, and all attendees for your participation and commitment to fostering a robust research culture for improved food policy and a better world. Thank you.
Excellent. Today is the first in the introductory series, Asia-Africa Learning Exchange. The purpose of this series is to support peer learning, both in terms of research results and policy lessons, essentially creating an opportunity for exchange as a community of researchers, practitioners, and policymakers with a hope for creating and accelerating momentum for change. The agenda is pretty straightforward. We will start with 2 speaker presentations, a quick discussion thereafter, and a discussant, and from there we will then have about 45 minutes for Q&A. So at that point, you can unmute yourself or put your questions in the chat, and I'll read them out to our speakers. So just as a quick before we start, why did our first session focus on school food and food procurement? We see that as a policy entry point that connects the improvement of local food systems at scale, so very much everyone participating in food production, to the shift in diets and dietary norms in the community. And again, this is at scale when you look at school food procurements, ideally in countries where we're scaling school feeding across the nation to all our children. So it allows us that connection between production, distribution, and consumption, which is not always possible or existent in our current food systems. With that, then, I will turn to our first speaker. We have with us Sarunya Sujaritpong. She's a lecturer at the Institute for Population and Social Research at Mahidol University. She's a veterinarian by profession. and her PhD is in epidemiology and population health. Her research interests are currently in the area of population health and the environment. She will speak to us about her current research on school food systems in Thailand. Sarunia?
Well, thanks very much, Madhiha, for the kind introduction. So let me share my slides. Okay, so hopefully you can see it clearly. Okay. So what I'm sharing with you today is part of our research project funded by Thai Health Promotion Foundation. So we appreciate the funding to make this project possible. So the project was just completed last December. So we look into the linkages between school food and how food raw materials were sourced from local supply. So a little bit of background. In Thailand, lunches of public primary schools are provided to the student for free with government budget. Practically, we could divide the provision of school food into first, school purchase food raw materials and cooked by school personnel. Second, schools purchase raw materials themselves and hire cooks. And third, schools outsource to the caterers. Among these three practices, the first practice, commonly found in small to medium-sized schools, is highly likely to use materials from their school farm and purchase from local producers. The second and the third practices were something in the black for us and what we wanted to investigate under this research project. We have four main research questions looking into practices of purchasing food raw materials from local food producers for school meals, general enablers and barriers, and those specific to rules and regulations. We apply case study approach apart from collecting data from 9 schools under 2 administrative agencies, Ministry of Education and local administration organizations under Ministry of Interior. We also interview all relevant actors across the supply chain. We discover 5 practices. On the right-hand side of this slide, when we consider about difficulty, sustainability, amount and variety of products procured, and the number of stakeholders involved, we could rate these 5 practices from high for the practice at the top to low for the practice at the bottom. The first practice is the public joint agreement made by stakeholders. For this practice, the food safety policy at the local level was vital to get things going and made possible to involve all the actors across the supply chain. Also, all the schools in the area source food raw materials from local food producers. The second practice involves intermediary, which we found 2 forms. One is operated by local university and the other is by a private company. Intermediary seeks safe organic food raw materials from local farmers. In the third practice, schools directly purchase food raw materials from parents of the students or farmers living in the community. The next practice we found are those schools that outsource school lunch to caterers. The key mechanism is term of reference or TOR issued by the school that specify that food raw materials needs to be safe or organic and or locally produced. We found that the caterers or the cooks use their personal relationships with farmers in the community to do local sourcing. For the last practice, schools just go to local markets and prefer to purchase from farmers that sell the products they grow themselves at the market. We identify enablers for each actor along the supply chain. For farmers, the key enablers are the formation of farmer groups, knowledge that farmers gain from external agencies, and consistent orders from the school. Having a specific TOR between schools and caterers is the key enabler for the caterer to do local sourcing or purchasing organic food raw materials. In addition, caterers need to have personal relationships with local farmers to do so. For intermediary, what facilitates the intermediary to purchase safe organic food materials for school is to bring farmers and school to plan together and in advance on the amount and variety of produce used for school lunch. For the school itself, having additional budget from local government for schools under the local administration organization is an enabling factor to do local sourcing or purchasing safe organic food materials. For schools, regardless of their affiliation, it requires teamwork among school personnel as well as the involvement of parents. The last one, for local government, having policy on food safety and local sourcing and timely budget allocation from local government passing to school are two main enablers. As you can see in this slide, there are gray boxes indicating the supporting role of external agency. There are barriers we identify for each actor. Farmers are encountering deteriorated production factors like soil, water, as well as climate, which is increasingly improper for agriculture. Two more barriers for farmers, having to feed farmers to do chemical-free or organic farming, and farmers individually could not grow sufficient products for school, and it needs large amount to feed students. For the last two barriers of farmers, they were also identified for intermediary. For caterers, they are facing insufficient safe organic products too. In addition, purchasing safe organic food materials are quite expensive within the limited budget they receive for doing catering for school lunch. Next, school personnel is already overburdened by a number of tasks, letting alone sourcing local or organic materials themselves for school meals. We found that some school staff lack of knowledge about rules and regulations related to school food procurement. They might do things wrong unintentionally. Schools, particularly medium-sized, still struggle with the limited budget from the government. For local government, lack of policy from high position level is a key barrier. Additional two barriers are related to rules and regulation related to school lunch procurement. In Thailand, we have different rules and regulations under the two administration agencies. As a result, it caused delay in budget allocation for schools under Ministry of Education. So, here's the last slide. I want to conclude my talk by proposing some recommendations based on the finding from this research study. First, at the national level, our country needs long-term policies such as economic incentive or the determination of a certain proportion of local food ingredients if we want to scale up and expand the practices of local sourcing of safe and organic food materials for school meals. At the national level, we also need more intermediaries, which can be online platforms or entrepreneurs. We need to ensure that fruits and veggies sold at the wholesale markets are safe, meaning we need to do more with the inspection and quality assurance. At the local level, we need to do more inspection on the safety of food raw materials too. This can be supported by local public health agency. Also, local public health agency can help monitor and provide training to the school personnel for food hygiene and safety at school. At the school level, schools that outsource to the caterers need to specify in the TOR that they must use safe or locally sourced food raw materials. There are needs to enhance knowledge about rules and regulations related to school lunch procurement for school personnel. And yeah, that's all for now.
Thank you so much, Saronia. That's very rich and detailed. And I know that the research paper itself will have a lot of details that people might want to see. So when we get to the Q&A, we might ask for links to the details of the research as well. Thank you. We'll now shift to a different context, and I think that's the principle of this to help set the stage for the conversation and discussion amongst us as a group. We've just heard about Thailand, which already has a school feeding system in place, and this is about further research to improve the quality and the scale of that, as well as the connections between the food systems and children's diets. We'll now shift to another country. We'll shift to Angola, which has coming from a very different context and it's at a very different stage of its school feeding program. So you will hear from our colleague Amilcar Salumbo. He's an agronomist with a doctorate from the University of Lisbon, Portugal. He's currently the associate professor at the Faculty of Agriculture in Huamba, Angola, and is the manager of the Regional Office of Development Workshop located in Huambo. So he will speak to us about developing a model to be tested in selected areas for the school food program in Angola. Because we just wanted to make sure that you were able to hear his words. Amilcar is with us, but he has recorded an audio for us, so just so his talk can be heard without any interruptions due to internet connectivity. So I will turn over to our organizers to make sure that that can be launched now. Thank you.
Hello, everyone. My presentation is about the design of a model for the school feeding program, which will be tested and scaled in Angola. It is a 4-year research for development project whose main purpose is to link the school food program to the local small-scale family farming or family food production. The project is about comparing two main programs, the most important ones among many of the existing in the country. We have selected two main programs, the most important. On one hand, the Merenda Escolar, which is led by the government with public funds. It's running throughout the country. And the other one is led by a private company called Carinho, running it by using their own funds under their corporate responsibility. So these are the two programs that we want to study. We want to do a value chain analysis, assessing the focus of and coverage of the programs, where the programs are being run, the nutritional quality and diversity of food provided to the schools, to children, and the way this food is acquired, what kind of agreements have been established to food producers and markets. There are challenges to the research. The first one is the availability of data and information, quality data and information, what sources are available to provide the information that is important to run the study. It is important to another challenge is the support the farmers have for production to produce food in quality and quantity, both in terms of material and technical support. The other one is to ensure that food is supplied in a sustainable manner throughout the year, knowing that food production, agriculture, is a seasonal activity which is located mostly during the rainy season. The other one is the availability of funding to cost all the stages of the chain, since the production until the supply of food to children at schools. The other one is the monitoring systems that exist have weaknesses. So the record of information as to where these programs are run and how they are run is very scarce. Although we know that Carreño has a very good monitoring system. They have data on what they do, where they do, and so on. The same doesn't apply to other programs, including the government one. So what is the methodology that we're going to use? We'll start by assessing the situation through a contextual analysis to understand well how the school meals program works and the way they interact with the agricultural producers in this case. So, and then we're going to do a case study analysis, studying deeply how the two main school programs are run, how they work in practice. So we want to do value chain analysis, analyzing the role of all the existing actors in the process, the policy environment that is under the school food program process, and challenges and opportunities that these programs face. What are the good lessons and good practices that have been developed? And then, having passed through this assessment phase, we will design the pilot. We'll design the pilot approach and we'll test it. So we want this process to be discussed with the stakeholders, the key stakeholders involved in the process. It will be run in selected schools and implemented over 24 months or 2 years. So this is the design and the testing of this pilot. And then we want this model to be scaled because we want it to assist the government to improve the national school meals program with approaches that support local sustainable agricultural practices and local markets, which is basically the integration of the school food programs and the local sustainable agricultural practice by small farming, because we are basing on school farming and small farming agriculture. So, and along the way, we want to take in consideration the gender issue, knowing that women are very important players in the process and social and economic process, both in education, nutrition, the family farming or family agriculture, and also in the local market, the marketing of the agricultural products. We know that it is important to understand the different roles of men and women in the process, as well the inclusion of children or youth, both girls and boys. So this is the project that we are running now. So I think I have given I hope I have given you a clear idea of what it is and how it works. Thank you for listening.